You mentioned after the game the other night just the good feeling that comes with winning. How does that carry over into tonight?
We're going to find out. You can enjoy the wins. You have to enjoy the wins, but you can't take a breath either. I know we're going to be playing a desperate team. They're a hard-working team, well coached. They're a big-body team. You're going to have to work for your space in this game. So I expect a tough one.
You also spoke of the lift that Mathieu Olivier gave you the other night with the fight. Just the fact of having him here to do that. What does that do for the team? Maybe peace of mind, whatever, knowing that presence is now here.
Yeah, I want to be clear on Olivier because it's come up a few times. He's here because he's a good hockey player, but he brings an element. Okay, and he's a tough kid. And so we felt as an organization we needed a little bit more sandpaper, and he brings that. But he's not in there just because he fights. He's in there because he can play the game. If you see how I'm using that line, he's on that line. He plays a lot of very important minutes for us. So how he handled that situation, I thought was excellent. He felt the moment. He wasn't silly about it. He didn't go chasing it. The opportunity, you got hit from behind. He didn't really care for that. He addressed it, and I felt like it gave us a lift. It did. It was the timing, how he approaches business. That's what I've been impressed about him in all through preseason. I know he has that element, and he quietly was trying to show that. Sometimes there's not takers for it, right? So, but he didn't do anything foolish. He's got to play discipline. I told him that, and all of our guys, you can't go chasing that. So it was the right time, right moment, and he's brought a real good balance to that line.
Lars, Kent Johnson's play in the early going, he's come so close to that first NHL goal a couple of times. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts just on his play, and how much would getting that first goal sort of elevate him further?
I don't know. I mean, you got to ask him that. I'm sure, like any skilled elite kind of player in that stature, and I don't put him in the elite stature yet because he's yet to prove that. But you ask guys when they're scoring. We watched Patrick Laine do it last year. He got on a roll, and he was on a cooker there for, gosh, it was like 6 weeks, And so, yeah, I'm sure it would help him. It helps a lot of our guys. He's not the only one. There's some guys that we need to kind of get going offensively. And I've seen guys not go 8 games and they look like they can't stick it out of a phone booth, and then all of a sudden they score an empty net goal and the floodgates open. I don't know. It makes no sense to me, but it's a mindset, and sometimes just taking that breath. So I'm hoping the win does that for our group, where we can kind of take a breath, handle the puck a little cleaner, exit a little cleaner, a little bit more crisper in all 3 zones where we can execute. But you can't take a foot off the pedal on the foundation and the work that's going to be required for it, because this team's coming.
Just touching on a little bit about what you were talking about earlier with the fourth line, would you say that the last game was probably their best game together, and how important just is that fourth line for you for your lineup?
I don't think they've played their best yet. I'll put it that way. I think in all 3 games they've had their moments, but they're building trust with me, and because I've put them in situations against other teams' best, and they're showing me they can do it. Ideally, we get more guys going, and I can balance out some of those minutes, because some guys are playing too many minutes right now, and that's going to wear on you over time. We've just played 3 and 4 there in the past weekend. We're coming up on 4 and 6, so at some point I have to balance it out. But guys got to play better in certain situations. So they're building trust with me, which is a great thing, especially on the road when you don't get last change. That makes it a little bit more tougher on decision making. But if you got more guys going, it helps. But that line is doing, up to this point, I think there's much better in that line too. That's the exciting part. I don't think they certainly haven't played their best yet, but I think they're trending the right way.
Brad, do you think your new guys are starting to see how you want this team to play with that identity? Last game you got some results by fighting to get back into it. They have to see that, right? They have to know what they're a part of here.
Yeah, I think all the guys. It's not just the new guys, but there's been pockets in games, right? Carolina game wasn't a bad game. We did a lot of good things for 2+ periods, really, and then they took over and we bent a bit. All right. Tampa game, I didn't like a lot of it. I would say most of it, to be honest with you. But then St. Louis, coming on a 3 and 4, their home opener, how we defended, and we did some really good things there. So to me, it's the consistency of how we need to play it. I think they have a pretty clear picture of what we want to do. but you got to do it for a 60. You know, sometimes it's overtime, like it took the other night, and sometimes it's coming from behind. I would love for us to play with the lead and play from ahead and do it the right way, you know, but we haven't done that yet, and so it's a work in progress here. We're 4 games in. We gotta keep building here.
Cole Sillinger's obviously in his second season. He spent all season here last year. What kind of is there an added challenge to that second season when maybe teams know who he is now, as opposed to maybe they didn't know him as well last year?
No, I don't think it's got anything to do with other teams. I really don't. Yeah, they know who Cole Sillinger is, but your first year is, doesn't matter if you're first overall or not. The expectations are very low usually. That's a very, they have their own internal expectations. You hope you play pretty free, because even if you have a bad season, you get to fall back. Well, this is your first year. So whatever you do your first year really sets the bar for your second year. He scores 16. I think he was around 30 points. And so now in your mind, it's like, well, now I need 20, It doesn't just happen, And then, and Cole's a kid, he's fighting it a bit for me. He's not himself. It's not a lack of work. He's putting the work in, but it's not coming easy. And guess what? It's going to be a lot of that this year. You're going to have to fight through it. And so it's our job to try and help him through that and give him kind of set the compass for him a bit. And he's going to go through it like many guys. He's not the only guy. There's other guys going through this that are much older, much more experienced, haven't got the start they wanted. How are you going to get through it? To me, it comes back to how you're going to impact that game. How are you going to impact it? It's not by goals and assists. It's not. We need production. We need goals. We know that. But Nick Blankenburg comes in last game, and I believe he got the hat from his teammates. He didn't have a goal, didn't have an assist. You ask Boone Jenner why he got it. I'll let him answer that. It wasn't because he scored. So there's many ways to impact it. I got a list that long. You can impact the game positively. But if you're not going to impact it positively, then it's going to be hard to get ice time. And that's what guys got to realize. It's a long year. We're in a marathon here. We're if you're talking about 26.2 miles in a marathon, we're about a quarter of a mile in the first mile. So some guys, it's okay to take a breath, but get some urgency in your game. Understand you can impact it a different way. Same lineup. Good.